Let's update our AT&T Fastest Driver Challenge. It is Kyle Busch that has been the fastest so far tonight. Text FAST to 34763 or visit attfastestdriver.com. Brought to you by the nation's largest 4G network, AT&T Rethink Possible. Brad had closed down the lead for Kyle Busch to 1/10 of a second, but as we run under green, it's back out to a 3/10 of a second advantage for Kyle.
Yeah, right now it's all about how you're working the traffic. Yeah, you know, these guys are catching guys. If you catch somebody right in the right spot, you don't lose any time. But if you got to wait just a half a second on a guy, all of a sudden you got your mirror full of Keselowski.
Matt Kenseth has worked the traffic nicely tonight. Started back in the 20th position, currently inside the top 10, and he was the big headline maker this week. The championship leader, and it was made official that he will not drive for Roush Fenway Racing in 2013. They won a championship together in 2003, the first for car owner Jack Roush at NASCAR's top level. A couple of Daytona 500s, some surprising news, and certainly it'll be interesting to follow this story and find out where Matt lands next.
And it's going to be it's going to be interesting to see where he lands and the ripple effect of where he lands. Does he replace an existing driver? Is there a new team that's coming in that starts something? I think the rumor has been the Gibbs organization, so that begs the question, what happens to Joey Logano? And there's other drivers out there. So this does start a lot of this time of the year, the silly season, as they call it.
And Wally, I think we all agree, regardless of where he lands, instant guy that can go in and win races, compete for championships, and he brings tremendous leadership.
Oh, there's no question about it. I mean, you know, Matt's a guy that a lot of car owners would love to see in their seat. And you know, a lot of people say, well, he's leaving, and well, what does this mean for the rest of the season? You know, I mean, listen, if you're making a championship run like Matt is, you're not going to lay down.
Yeah.
I mean, these championships are too hard to win. So, I mean, Matt's going to give it 110%. Plus, the race team needs that championship because they're trying to find a sponsor for next year for you know, Stenhouse. So, you know, I don't think you're going to see anybody laying down on this team for the rest of the year.
He's 9th on track right now, Ralph.
I spoke with crew chief Jimmy Fennig about that very issue, and he said, you know what, our guys on this crew are professionals. They want to win as much as Matt wants to win. Nobody is going to do anything but give it 100%. Right now, he's been fighting a free everywhere condition on the race car. Those are the adjustments that they've been making. And as you said, Wally, these guys want that championship as badly as Matt does, because it will greatly impact their 2013 program.
Ralph, we saw the championship standings. No doubt Kenseth going to make the chase. A win tonight, though, add some bonus points to his resume when we get set for the playoffs in September. Kyle Busch also has one win this season. He's looking for number 2, and he's in position to get it. He's led 97 of the 110 tonight here at Kentucky. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series rolling through the hills of Kentucky. It's Sprint Cup Series racing presented by KFC. Kyle Busch has been the dominator tonight, leading 103 of the 116 laps, and right now he's 7/10 of a second in front of second place Brad Keselowski. Early in this race, Tony Stewart, who won earlier this season on the 1.5 miles at Las Vegas, had problems. Smoke right now 35th, 35 laps down. So let's go down to Larry McReynolds at our Toyota Torque Car and see what he's got to say. Larry?
Adam, remember 2012, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, they went to electronic fuel injection. We got rid of the 4-barrel carburetor on top of the intake. It was replaced with a throttle body, which is basically an air pump that puts air into the engine. The first thing the Stewart-Haas team replaced was a throttle body, suspecting that may have been a problem. That was not the problem. Now, the brains of electronic fuel injection is mounted on the right side of the dash, and it's the ECU box. And how it works and gathers information are from different sensors around the engine. There's 2 on the crankshaft. There's also one right here on the side of the camshaft. And what they figured out is basically this sensor had went bad, so they bypassed it, basically did away with it by process elimination. Now, even though Tony Stewart is 34 laps down, he's out there running at full speed.
And Larry, so is Kyle Busch. And you know, driver 18 likes to let it hang out a little bit, regardless of where he is in the running order.
Yeah, I can tell you this. If the 18 doesn't hit the wall during at least a race once, his car's not handling. I mean, when his car is good, he's usually bouncing off the wall.
And he hits it pretty good here. You see it, 1, 2. You see that thing just snatch.
Here you are on board with Kyle Busch off the corner, turn 2. Yeah, that was no love tap there. It's Casey Mears in front of him. He's the last car on the lead lap, but he's about to go 1 lap down. We're coming back to Kentucky after a break. Kyle Busch is dominating. Closing on halfway at Kentucky. And we are under caution for the second time tonight. Debris on the front straightaway. We were just over halfway through a fuel run. And as we get the caution, it will be Casey Mears running 20th that gets the free pass. He was the first car 1 lap down. And another opportunity for these drivers to work on their race cars.
And some of them need this. I think if you look at Kevin Harvick and a couple of those guys out there that were beginning to fall off a little bit and struggle, this is a break for them.
And some of them didn't need it.
No.
Like Kyle Busch, Keselowski, Johnson, they like those long green runs because they were hooked up.
Pits are open, so we'll see what they're all going to do here. And the pit cycle will come at lap 126 under caution. Ralph?
Still working on getting the 56 for Martin Truex to handle the way he wants. This is going to be a right front air pressure adjustment. That is the only change they're going to make the car as everybody enters pit road. Here they come, and Martin dives into his box, Marty.
Brad Keselowski will hit pit road. The car a little bit too tight in the center, loose on the exit. You'll see him in the middle of your screen. They are going to make a chassis adjustment and an air pressure adjustment for Brad. They're going to go down on the track bar. Chris?
Kyle Busch not happy. He lost the nose behind that lap car. That's what put him in the wall. He said the car very tight right now. Just doing 2 tires on the stop. Air pressure and track bar change. Matt?
And Jimmy Johnson likes the way they're trending with the 48 machine. He wants to go with another track bar adjustment. 2 tires on the 48, trying to pick up another spot or 2 on pit road.
Kyle Busch leading when they came to pit road, and he is going to win the battle off. And you heard the guys talk about it. 2 tires. It was a theme. Hamlin jumps 2 spots. It was close as he edges Keselowski. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Racing, presented by KFC, live in Sparta, Kentucky. 17th race of the year for the Sprint Cup Series. Log on to NASCAR.com/AE Sweeps for your chance to win one of 3 Chevrolet Silverados in the American Ethanol Sweepstakes. American Ethanol, American grown, American made, powering NASCAR. The lights are out atop the safety vehicle. That means the next time around we will go green. The restart comes as we take the green flag at lap 129. Kyle Busch, the race leader. 21 lead lap cars. Casey Mears the last of those as he just got the free pass. 4 cars took the wave around, and there were some drivers that came down pit road and took 4 tires there. Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt Jr., who restart 13th and 14th, a couple of those. The top 10 all took 2 tires. Your race leader, Kyle Busch, and once again, he selects the outside lane for the restart.
Denny Hamlin really stayed pretty tough underneath him right now. Got Jimmy Johnson pushing him too.
Kyle Busch didn't have to deal with Brad Keselowski, but he's got Denny Hamlin right there. Jimmy Johnson low, almost 3 wide off the corner.
See, sparks come out from under that 48 car when he hits that bump in the middle of the straightaway. It shows how bumpy this racetrack is. The groove's bumpy enough, but when you get outside the groove, it's really a rough racetrack.
That's a great thing about racing at night. All the extra visuals like the sparks flying. Somebody reminded Brad Keselowski wasn't running second anymore. He's getting aggressive in that outside lane, right behind Hamlin. Actually behind Kyle Busch there. How big were these pit stops, Kyle, from the standpoint we're really starting to make that transition now from day to night? We know the track is cooling off.
You know, I think it is, because I think we heard earlier from a couple of different drivers at the racetrack, just as we suspected, just as Larry McReynolds spoke earlier on Countdown to Green, that the racetrack would free up as it got into the nighttime hours. And I think some of these guys that were complaining early on about the cars being a little bit tight, maybe they didn't adjust the first couple of times. We see the 48 car here. We see the 11 car that is almost out of our picture. We've not really seen him. You know, he's kind of hovered right there and forth. So I think these are big pit stops at this time to show us who's going to be in the mix for the rest of the night.
And as Jimmy Johnson works the inside of Kyle Busch, a sign the track is cooling down. Denny Hamlin just ran his fastest lap of the night.
Yeah, and while these guys are running side by side, Denny Hamlin's about 2 miles per hour quicker a lap. So he's looking up in the mirror and he's loving this, because as long as they're side by side, he's going to just keep stretching that lead.
Hamlin 2 wins this year. The most recent at Kansas, 1.5 miles flat, much like what you see here at Kentucky, and he needs a good run because back-to-back DNFs the last couple of weeks. Michigan and last week at Sonoma.
Not giving up. Got him cleared. Well, that's a hard thing to do, right? Is make that kind of a pass on the inside. If you're going to do it, I guess you're going to do it on fresh tires, so you got it done early.
Talk about making changes to the race car. 48 team always does a good job of changing things up throughout the race. And here's Matt Kenseth, started 20th, but we've reached the midway point of this race, and he's starting to find his way to the front. 9th right now behind A.J. Allmendinger.
That's pretty typical of the 17 car. Those guys, you know, they just slowly make their way towards the front. By the time the race is over, he's there.
Yeah, and we see that week in and week out. But you're really going to see it, I think, on a night race like this. Again, where as the racetrack changes, these guys, it comes to them. The track comes to them.
A couple of spots in front of Matt Kenseth is Jeff Gordon. He was the first driver to take 4 tires on that cycle of stops, and he's moving up.
Yeah, he's another guy that's quietly just steady progression towards the front. Right now he's sitting in 7th spot, running very good lap time. So here's another guy. And then again, there's another guy when it goes to a night race. Those guys do really, really well.
And Truex right in front of Gordon in the 6th spot, Ralph.
Adam, the drivers will communicate a lot of different information to their crew during the race, but as you'll hear in this audio, some of the best information you'll get from your driver will come the day after the event.
How's everything in there? Are you staying, I know it's hot, but you staying cool enough?
As cool as you can expect, I guess. I'm okay.
I'll call you tomorrow and ask you. That's usually when you feel it.
Yeah, 10-4.
The other thing that has been said on the radio is go get you some boy, because he has already passed 2 cars. He's got his foot to the floor, elbows up, and he's digging to the front right now.
And Ralph, another good week for Michael Waltrip Racing. Last week you had Brian Vickers in the top 5. Clint Boyer wins the race. Truex was good before problems late. Right now Boyer 5th. Martin Truex Jr. is 6th, but they better look in the rear view mirror, because Gordon, who was 10th prior to the pit stops, really rolling through on those 4 fresh tires. Matt?
He restarted 13th. He's made up those spots, and Gordon, like you mentioned, Adam, definitely on the move. His best feedback to the team is down in 1 and 2. He says the car is absolutely flying through 1 and 2, but his hindrance is going down into turn 3. He says that he absolutely has no grip, and he has to back up his corner, and he loses so much time, which then just kills his drive off turn 4.
And as we told you, Jeff Gordon right now 7th in the running order. Joe Gibbs has got to be feeling good tonight. Kyle Busch has led the most laps. He's 3rd, and his teammate on point right now, Denny Hamlin, out there with 139 of 267 complete.